Being on the internet and social media for a time really does change a person. That once sweet, ignorant bliss you had before you decided to log on to the internet and create your first Facebook or Twitter account is such a magical time, really. Such a magical time that once you've been online for a while, you realize you begin to miss it. You begin to miss those days where you were just a novice online. And the more you log on to Facebook and Twitter and other social media accounts, and you see the absolute depravity that is people with an internet access, your core beliefs that you grew up with just go out the fucking window. The internet really does change people, especially in the sector. Now, I've always strived to maintain some distance between my real life and my online life. And I think that is something that most people should do anyway, but there are just some people out there that just intend on infusing their real life with their online life. And more often than not, it turns into a complete and total fucking disaster. Case in point, the subject of today's video, Mr. Matthew Vickers. Now, the story of Matthew Vickers, especially if you've been in the sector for a considerable period of time, is one that everyone knows, right? Guy's first child, his first daughter, Faith Vickers, fresh out of high school in 2020, decides that she's had enough of boring old life in California and decides she wants a change. She thinks to herself, I'm an adult now, I can do whatever the fuck I want. So Faith Vickers decides that she's going to get into a relationship with Ethan Ralph, the owner and the editor of the RalphRetort.com and the host of the motherfucking Killstream. And then one day, Faith decides that she's had enough and she's got to pack up her bags and move on over to Virginia to spend the rest of her life with Ethan Ralph. And of course, upon hearing this news, Matthew Vickers decides he's going to throw the mother of all tantrums and demand that his daughter be returned to him at once. Now, over the course of a couple of months, Matthew Vickers, LARPing as the dear, doting, and concerned father, made efforts to highlight to the world just how much of a piece of shit Ethan Ralph really was. As we all know, it all culminated in a sex tape being released, in which Ethan Ralph and Faith Vickers were caught having sex, where Ralph eat the poo-poo, which ultimately led to the birth of the Vickers' only, okay, let me emphasize this right now, only grandchild, Xander Vickers. Now, initially, Matt could have had a happy ending. Eventually, Faith saw the error of her ways and decided that it was time to return home, to come back to the loving embrace of Mommy and Daddy, give birth to Xander in California. And if Matthew Vickers would have just ended it there, they would have had a happily ever after. Matthew and the family could have kinda tried to rebuild and kinda try to be a normal family again and put away all that internet bullshit aside, but once Matthew Vickers realized that he was getting a lot of attention, a lot of sympathy, and a lot of people willing to give him money, more money than he was ever making running a coin shop, well, he decided to double down. It became one of, if not the biggest, Ralph A-logs around. But all sagas must come to an end eventually, and the saga of Matthew Vickers is coming to an end. Right now, as we speak, his coin shop's closed. The bank is looking to repossess his home. He's getting ready to go through divorce proceedings with his wife, Ariana. No doubt she's going to be getting a big fat fucking payday from the divorce after all this said and done. Who is exactly going to have custody of the kids once the divorce is all over with? Who really knows? And in terms of Matt's, internet persona, people now see him as a gigantic fucking grifter and a massive fucking lowcow. Someone who dedicated the past 4 years to trying to destroy Ethan Ralph and wound up destroying himself. And I should feel bad for the man, but I don't. Because at the end of the day, he brought this on himself. No one told him to continue on his quest to epically own Ethan Ralph. No one told him, he should highlight the fact that there's a sex tape between Ralph and his daughter out there on the internet to everyone he comes into contact with. No one told him that he should spend however much money it cost for Cog the Cow to sell him the t-shirt that has Ralph's blood after he got into a fight with Ralph in Lisbon. All Matthew had to do was just walk away once Faith came back, and that would have been the end of it. But his quest for fame and more attention, and above all, more money, led him down the road he's in now. And if Matthew Vickers really wants to know who he's got to blame for everything that's going on in his life right now, all the guy's really going to do is just look in a mirror. Because it's not my fault, it's not your fault, it's not Ralph's fault for the situation he's in. All he's got to do to find the culprit of the person who's responsible for all this going on right now in his life, he's just got to look in a mirror. He's just got to look in a mirror long and hard, and he's going to see the person responsible for the catastrophe he's involved in right now. And it's really a fitting end for Matthew Vickers, honestly. He flew too close to the sun, and he got fucking burnt. And now he's spiraling faster and faster and faster back to Earth. And again, all he had to do was just celebrate that Faith came home, that he has custody of the grandchild, and that would have been the end of it. But he was just so desperate to get more fame and attention and money that now everything in his personal life is collapsing all around him. And he's got no one to blame but himself there. It's amazing what can happen to a man in the span of only 4 years. But he's only got himself to blame for it.